because it is Halloween night. Do have some other things to do today, but we'll play a little bit more. Suzumu, Natty, Kiki, hey there.
こんにちは先輩。メールありがとうございます。
Hey Minobe, thanks for the text.
もうやってるんですか？手伝います。
Oh, you guys are already working? Let me help.
俺、夕方に近所のガキどもとデュエルの約束があるんだけどな。
I promised to duel some of the local kids this afternoon, though.
手伝えるところまででいいからさ。
Just help out until you have to leave. The LCSC, the local community service club's room was a spare room near the infirmary. Though the school was mammoth in size, even it couldn't escape the consequences of a declining Japanese birth rate. Meanwhile, with each year, there were more and more spare classrooms. Thus, the LCSC was one of them, as a makeshift clubroom. Miss Hinagata wasn't around. She was the school doctor, so she couldn't always be in the clubroom. It was common for Miss Hinagata to have to leave to help students who got hurt in the sports clubs. The room was packed to the gills with piles of cardboard boxes of varying sizes. Inside were old sweaters, unopened gifts, well-used microwaves, TVs, and so on. The boxes were filled to the brim with such objects.
不用品って結構あるもんなんですね。
There sure are a lot of unused things in here.
新品も結構あるよ。もったいないだね。
There's a ton of new stuff in here too. What a waste.
こいつを整頓して目録を作るのか。こりゃ骨だな。
We gotta sort these things out and catalog them? That's gonna be a waste.
Boちぼちやろうよ。2、3日で終わるもんじゃないっしょ。
Let's take it one step at a time. Not like we're gonna finish this up in 2 or 3 days. All these items have been gathered to sell off at a rummage sale. After all, it was an era where it cost money just to get rid of large objects. So if the school sent out a notice to the parents asking for donations of unwanted items for the rummage sale, they come up in droves. And the parents indeed came in cars stuffed with unwanted items, piling them up one after the other.
これを分類して目録を作ってどうするかを決めるわけね。
Categorize them, make an inventory, and decide what to do with them.
あ、雛形先生。
Oh, Hinagata.
ごめんなさいね。私ちょっと今手が離せないの。
Sorry, I'm just a little busy right now.
やれるとこまででいいからお願いしちゃっていい？
Can I ask you to do that much? Do as much as you can and don't worry about the rest.
あいよたまよん。ガッテン承知の助さ。
I gotcha, Mayahin. Heard you loud and clear.
たく、俺にはゴミの山にしか見えねえぜ。
Man, all I see is a pile of trash.
ゴミの山も分類すれば宝の山って言うよ。
But it could turn out to be a pile of treasure when we're done with it.
頑張って分類してトレジャーしちゃおう。
Let's sort them out and find what we can. Some double loons.
阪神と東北と熊本の3つの大震災で多くの教訓が得られたからね。
We've learned a lot from Kobe, Tohoku, and Kumamoto earthquakes, right?
被災地に援助物資という名のガラクタ詰め合わせを送りつけるのは単なる嫌がらせでしかないから。
Sending trash under the name of relief to disaster-stricken areas is just plain wrong.
そうですね。ボランティアは自己満足でなく、相手のニーズに繊細に対応する必要がありますね。
Exactly. You can't be volunteering just to feel good about yourself. You have to be sensitive to others' needs.
もうスズムン、その回答100点満点。
You get a gold star for that answer, Suzumu.
さすがはグレイトな男。
What a great man.
確かにな。どんな強力なレアカードも整理しなきゃデッキには入れられねえ。
But no matter what rare cards you get, you need to rearrange your deck before you put them in.
じゃあ手分けしてキリキリ頑張りましょう。
Then let's split up and get this thing done.
いいの、のんびりダラダラで。
Relax. We can take our time.
こんだけ量があるんだから、おしゃべりでもしながら 気楽に行こ
We got a lot of time here, so let's chat for a minute. In actuality, we planned on spending all of next Sunday taking care of this. But as per Club President Minobe's orders, we decided to do the work a little at a time after school each day.
これは何だろう
What's this?
タオル手拭いかな
Maybe a hand towel?
ほらこんな風にかぶってひょっとこの面でもつけりゃ
See if you wrap it like this and put it against a flat surface.
う。それきっとおむつだよ。使い捨てじゃないリターナブルの。
Those are diapers, the non-disposable type.
おむつうが
Diapers? Ugh.
でも被災地じゃ水は貴重だから使い捨ての方が便利だろうね。
Ha ha ha. Water's precious in disaster zones, so disposable ones are probably better for them.
ほんじゃそれはバザー行きで。
Okay, let's go into the rummage sale then.
はいじゃあこっちの箱へ
Okay, then I'll check the boxes here. The inventory was divided into 3 categories: disaster relief, rummage sale, and garbage. Unusual items with no apparent use would also show up from time to time, so the work was pretty interesting. But there were still loads of things to sort through. It seemed our time after school would be centered around this for the time being. Just then the door opened. But it wasn't Miss Hinagata.
あれクロッチじゃん。メール見てくれたんだ。
Oh my gosh, it's Kuroki! You must have gotten my text. Kuroki, as in Kurokami. I got it. However, she was staring off into space, as she always did. Go.
来てくれただけでも嬉しいよ。今日も調子悪そうだね。
I'm just happy you showed up. You don't look so hot, but that's not unusual.
たまに来てくれるの。調子がいい時は手伝ったりもしてくれるんだけど。
She comes by once in a while. She helps out when she's feeling okay, but well.
黒髪ってなんでシャチホコ部にいるんだ
Why is Kurakami in the LCSC?
さあ、ほら、雛形先生って結構気まぐれだから。
Beats me. You know how fickle Miss Hinagata is. Go. She looked me right in the eyes. Though she'd been staggering just seconds ago, that all came to a stop. Meanwhile, I found myself staring in her eyes, too.
ああ、クロッチは初対面だよね。紹介するよ。我が部のニューホープの2人。
Oh, you haven't met them yet. Allow me to introduce you to the new hopes of our club.
ああ、同じクラスだっけか。
Oh, that's right. You guys are in the same class, aren't you?
あら。
Suzuhara.
あれ今日は調子いいみたいじゃん。
Well, what do you know? Sounds like you're feeling okay today, after all.
どうしてここに。
Why is Suzuhara here?
たまやの気まぐれじゃない？先週唐突に連れてきてさ。
Because Mayuhin felt like it. She just dragged him in without any warning last week.
雛形。
Hinagata brought him here. It was very rare to hear her say something. According to Minobe, that meant she was feeling good. Did that mean there was a chance she'd respond to me?
や
Hi. Her face wrenched with agony the moment I called out to her. So she really wasn't feeling well after all.
大丈夫
Is something wrong?
やる。
Stay back. But after I took a single step towards her, Kurakami covered her face with her doll in her left hand while motioning me to stop with her right. The sweat rose to the surface of her agonized face. Are you okay?
雛形先生を呼んでくるよ
I'll go call Miss Hinagata.
夜なと言っている。
I told you to stay back.
どうして
But why?
お前の
Your corruption.
汚れが
It's painful.
苦しい。
And with that, Kurakami turned around, still fighting back the agony. I couldn't think of anything to say to Kurakami.
東映
てめえ、いつまでほっつき歩いてんだよ。
Toei, quit wandering around already. Punch this guy in the face already.
今日は先輩とカラオケ行くんだよ。
We're going to
たまには
karaoke.
少しマシな顔でお酌くらいしてみせろよな。
We're going with some of the older guys. You could try looking alive for once, when you're pouring them their drinks.
はい翔様
Yes, Sir Sho.
お前ら行くぞ。
Let's go, guys. Kaminuma wrapped his arm around Kurakami and dragged her closer, then left with his followers.
黒髪さん
Kurakami,
スズムクロッチに嫌われてる？
does Kuroki have something against you?
クロッチがあんなこと言うとこなんて初めて見た。
I've never heard her say anything like that before.
気にすることないよ。黒髪さんが意味のないことを言うなんていつものことだよ。
Don't let it bother you. Kurakami says odd stuff from time to time.
たまたま体調と機嫌が悪かっただけに違いないよ。
I'm sure she's just not feeling well, that's all.
そうだね
You're probably right.
セスハラのグレイトさがわからねえとはな。いけすかない女だぜ。
She doesn't understand the greatness that is Suzuhara. Man, she gives me the creep.
おかしな男が言い名付けだしさ。気苦労も絶えないんだよきっと。
And she's got a crazy fiance, too. She must have a lot on her plate. We worked all through the afternoon. Natsu had made plans with friends, so he left early. But we just kept working and managed to make a dent in our workload.
僕見延先輩に謝らなきゃいけないです
Minobe, I owe you an apology.
何が？
For what? Initially, I'd assumed that she was kind of lazy from her general demeanor. But the past few days had proven me wrong. She was always proactively carrying out the club's activities. She really was an ideal president. And she was fun to hang around to boot.
先輩のこと改めて尊敬しました
I've come to respect you all over again.
やっぱり社長コブに入ってよかったと思います
I really am glad I joined the local community service club.
私も最初は先輩のこと誤解してました。
Hehehe, it was the same for me, Suzumu. I had the totally wrong idea about Kanae when we first met.
でも先輩はいつも暗くなるまで部室でたった一人でも仕事をしてる。
But she's always working there until dark every single day, even by herself if she has to.
まあ帰ってもすることとかないしね。
It's not like I got anything to do back home, and this world is much safer than the other one.
家帰っても親が勉強しろしろうるさいだけだし。
My mom just begs me to study when I get home. She tried laughing it off, but I wasn't fooled anymore. No, you could say that was her very essence. The same went for training. It's easy to work yourself hard until it shows on your face. But with her, she just relaxed and had fun no matter what she did.
僕も見習わなくちゃ
I could learn a thing or two from you two.
そういえばスズムンって空手をやってんだって？
By the way, you do karate, right, Suzumoon?
やってます毎日夕方には道着を着て裏庭で稽古してますよ。
Yep, he puts on the dojo uniform and practices in the backyard every evening.
へえ、何それかっこいい。
Oh, that's pretty cool.
ねえねえ、あのさ。
Hey, can I ask you something? Minobe walked ahead of us, then turned around and spoke.
おいらもスズムンのかっこいいとこ見てみたいな。
I'd like to see Suzumoon showing off, too. It was a common misunderstanding that the Suzuhara divine tribute style wasn't for fighting. Its primary goal was to sublimate a pure heart cultivated and training through the martial arts, then dedicate that heart to God.
なのにクロッチに汚れてるとか言われちゃショックだよね。
Man, it must have sucked to hear Kuroki call you corrupted.
僕の修行がまだ未熟だからだと思います
I guess that means my training's got a little bit of a way to go.
先輩、麦茶入れてきました。
Minobe, the tea's ready. I want to be like my father and hold a martial arts demonstration at a temple or shrine someday. Any corruption had to be purged before that was possible. I had to free myself from destructive thoughts and hold my spirit. The apartment complex backyard was my training ground. I channeled on my spirit into my fist and punched a cherry blossom tree with straw wrapped around it. It was a bit sluggish today. I really did have a long way to go if Minobe's presence was enough to dull my fist.
すごいね。よく素手で木をパンチして痛くないもんだね。
Amazing! I'm surprised you can punch a tree like that without hurting your fist.
砂を詰めたバケツをパンチしてることもありますよ。
He's also punched loads of buckets filled with sand.
スズムかっこいい。おいら惚れちゃいそうだ。
You're so cool, Suzumoon. I might be falling for you.
集中集中。
Focus, focus. Shoot. I trained to the bone until the sky turned indigo, then took a shower and had dinner. Kiko's mom always cooked our evening meals. I took my shower and went to room 101, only to find Minobe there as well.
おお、スズム。シャンプーの香りでめっちゃフェロモン出てる。
Say, Suzumoon, that shampoo smells heavenly.
お母さんが夕飯を一緒にどうって言ってくれたの。
I asked my mom if Minobe could have dinner with us.
おいら、畳の上で家族ご飯食べるの割と憧れだったんだ。
I always wanted to have a fun family dinner around the table.
僕も一人っ子だから、賑やかなご飯はすごく楽しいです。
And I'm an only child, so the more the merrier.
つばきこ配膳手伝って。
Subakiko, help me set the table. Hi! I've been calling her Subakiko, but Subakiko. I'm coming!
すずむくん、テレビのリモコンを取ってもらっていいかい？
Suzumu, can you get the TV remote?
はい、どうぞ。
Here you go.
みのべさんは野球とか見る？
Do you watch baseball, Minobe?
いや、見たことないです。
Can't say that I have before.
じゃあ一緒に見ようか。楽しいぞ。
Then let's watch together, it'll be fun.
お待たせだよ。
Thanks for waiting, Minobe.
はい、先輩。
Here you go,
どうぞ。
Minobe.
ありがとう。
Thank you, you two. Everyone sat together and began eating. We were having soup, somen, and tempura for dinner. Just seeing the ice cubes floating atop the soup in our glass bowls was enough to cool us down. Though it wasn't quite summer yet, the dishes had been hot and sweaty, so this was the perfect dish.
すごい。そうめんってこんなに美味しかったんだ。
Amazing, I never knew somen could be so tasty.
氷が入って冷えてるだけでこんなにも美味しくなるんだね。
Who knew cooling it off with ice was the key?
先輩の家のおそうめんって違うんですか？
Your family makes somen differently?
おいらの家のは茹でたのに流水をかけただけのぬるいのが出てくるよ。
We boil it but with running water, so it never turns out hot or cold.
すぐベタベタになってくっついて塊になっちゃって食べづらいし美味しくないし。
It becomes this sticky lump that's hard to eat. Doesn't taste good at all.
嫌いだったはずなのに
So normally I hate somen.
こんなに美味しいなんて知らなかったな。
I never knew it could be this good. Minobe lowered her head a little sadly. But she was back to her usual cheerful self by the time she raised her head. Aww. Afterwards, we all watched with excitement as the baseball game kept going back and forth. It was completely dark outside, but we kept spending time like a happy family. Having been invited to take a bath, Minobe went to Kiko's apartment for a shower.
先輩、今日は私のとこにお泊まりしていくことになってるの。
Minobe will be staying at my place tonight.
そうだったんだ。
I see.
キコちゃんと先輩はやっぱり仲良しだったんだね。
The two of you are really close.
フレンドだよ。
We're the very, very best of friends.
じゃあ、スズム、おやすみ。
Good night, Suzumu.
おやすみ。また明日。
Yeah, good night. See you tomorrow. We didn't really do anything all that special. It had been a fun day, though. I basked in those memories as I soaked in the bath.
社長コブに入って本当に良かったな。
I really am glad I joined the local community service club.
キコちゃんやナツくんとも一緒だし、ミノベ先輩は面白くて尊敬できる人だし。
I've got Kiko and Natsu with me, and Minobe is so funny and admirable. And although she may not have liked me at the moment, I hoped Kurakami and I could be friends someday.
楽しいな、毎日が。
Every day has been so much fun since then.
こんな生活の機会をくれた両親にも感謝しなくちゃ。
I gotta thank my parents for giving me the opportunity to live, like this. I had to reflect more carefully on how blessed I was that I could say that. Minobe had said it herself during yesterday's fundraiser. You're blessed to be able to say something
両
like
親
that.
に感謝できるってこと自体幸運にたくさん恵まれてたと自覚するべきだろうね。
The fact you have parents to thank should make you realize just how lucky you are. These kids in the car crashes didn't.
もっと先輩と話したいな。
I wish I could talk with Minobe some more. She was probably around in Kiko's room chatting. If I were a girl, I could have joined in their conversations, but alas.
いいさ。社長コブでこれからもおしゃべりする機会はたくさんあるさ。
It's fine. We'll have plenty of opportunity to talk at the LCSC. I'm gonna guess he's gonna go into her fantasy land tonight.
寝よう。
Guess I'll sleep. But he's gonna wind up in that fantastical world, isn't he? Did I hear something? Realizing that the knocking signified a visitor, I sat up, eyes still clouded with sleep. Maybe she's gonna be sleepwalking. Alright, let's save. I ran to the door and opened it, very careless in hindsight. But since I was still half asleep, I had a hard time telling if it was a dream or not. When I opened the door, the sight that awaited me, I was convinced I was still dreaming. I should have seen some old scenery outside. But instead I was faced with a wondrous world, like the likes of which I'd never seen before.
起こしちゃってごめん。
Sorry for waking you.
ミノベ
Minobe.
先輩。
She wore a blue dress. Meanwhile, I realized I was in my school uniform instead of my night clothes. We were in a strange world where giant mushrooms with polka dots and star patterns grew upon them. I turned around only to discover even my place had become part of this bizarre land. It had changed into a room from a cabin straight out of a fairy tale.
これは
What is this?
ああ、ごめんね。深く考えないで。
Sorry, don't look too deep into it.
夢の続きだと思って。明日になったらさっぱり忘れてるから。
Just think about this as the continuation of a dream. You'll forget about it by the morning.
夢の中の人にこれは夢だって言われるのは初めてです。
This is the first time somebody in my dreams has admitted it's a dream.
まあ、ここではこっちが現実で、向こうこそが夢なわけだけど。
Well, to me, this is reality and the other world is a dream.
難しいことは考えなくていいよ。
Just don't think too hard, okay? Puh. Minobe laughed as she went inside. Just then, a clothed rabbit, walking on its hind legs, followed her. It was like something from a picture book.
おお、あなたがムーンスートの王子様。
It's the Prince of Moonsuit!
お会いできて光栄だよ。
What an honor. The talking rabbit reached out for a handshake. Yep, this has to be a dream.
そうそう。王子様は深く考えなくていいの。
Right. Don't look into this too deep, Your Highness.
夢の中だと思ってた方がきっと楽だと思うから。
Things will be easier if you think of this as a dream.
王子様って僕のことですか？
By Oji-sama, Your Highness, you mean me?
そう。私はここではお姫様。不思議の国のエリス姫。
Yep. Here I'm Princess Elise of Wonderland. Elise. I felt like I'd heard that name from Minobe yesterday. As I stood in amazement, several rabbits walked past me. Carrying tea sets, they all set the table one after the
エリ
next.
ス、準備ができたよ。
Elise, everything's ready.
ありがとう。じゃあね。
Great, thanks. Jane, later.
ごゆっくり。全体進め。
Yeah, have a good time. Move out, guys. Tea, pancakes, and beautiful silverware was lined up on the table. The rabbits marched en masse once they finished setting up. They shut the door, leaving Minobe and I in a room with the fragrance of tea.
どうぞ召し上がれ。まったりしよう。
Go on, help yourself. Kick back a little.
はい。
Okay.
ほらほら、どうせ夢なんだから考えたら負けだって。
It's all just a dream anyway, so just kick back. There's no point in dwelling on it.
夢の中で夢って諭されるなんて やっぱりちょっとおかしいです。
It's kind of funny being scolded in my dream. My body eased a little once I accepted what I was seeing as untrue. My senses still weren't fully in tune with it all, but I decided to accept Minobe's suggestion. I chose to sit in one of the cute fairy tale-esque chairs and have some tea. Minobe lifted the teacup, then traced the saucer with a lonely smile.
今日のさ、お夕飯のそうめん、
Do you remember that somen we had for dinner?
一番驚いたのは氷が入ってたからとかじゃないんだよね。
It wasn't the ice that surprised me the most about it.
うちお母さんが家事とかめんどくさがるたちでさ、お皿洗いたくないからって。
My mom finds chores to be a pain, so she doesn't want to wash plates.
お皿はみんな紙皿を使うんだ。
That means all our plates are paper.
洗わないで捨てればいいから、確かに。
紙皿ってさ、紙の味が移るから嫌いなんだよね。
You can just throw them out without wasting whatever. So yeah, they are convenient. It's just, you see, they make the food taste like paper, so I hate them. What do you say? You can throw them out without washing them. So true, they save time. But they make the food taste like paper, so I hate them. I hate the plastic solo cups. They make drinks taste weird.
それに料理によってはベタベタと張り付いちゃって。
And if food is sticky, it gets stuck to the plate. Yeah, you can't use them with sticky food.
お箸で取ると紙皿の表面の紙が張り付いちゃうんだよ。
So when you pick it up with chopsticks, you get pieces of paper stuck into it.
最初の頃は律儀にその紙を剥がしてたけど、
I used to tear that paper off, every last scrap, but at a certain point you just eat it.
だんだんめんどくさくなってきて、そのうちちぎれた紙が張り付いたままで
Yeah.
口に運ぶようになって。
But I found it a pain, so eventually I just started eating while leaving the scraps of paper on.
だんだん何を食べてもみんな同じ紙の味に感じるようになってきちゃってさ。
And then I just started tasting paper in everything I ate.
だからあんな綺麗なガラスの器で
So it had been
美味しい
so
そうめん
long.
を食べたのって本当に久しぶりで。
Since I'd had somen in a beautiful glass bowl.
久しぶりで。
So long. Though Minobe was smiling, there were tears in her eyes.
先輩。
Minobe.
嫌だった。紙が張り付いたままのおかずを食べるのに慣れてる自分が。
I hate it. I hate that I got used to eating paper in my food.
お母さんのめんどくさがり屋なとこ嫌いなくせに。
Even though I hate how lazy my mother is,
私もお母さんと変わらない。
I've turned out just like my lazy mom.
めんどくさがり屋なんだなって。
No, you didn't.
先輩はめんどくさがり屋なんかじゃないです。
But I don't think you're lazy at all.
そうかな。
You really think so?
僕は今日まで先輩の様々なことを見てきました。
I've seen a lot of sides of you by now.
めんどくさがり屋なんてとんでもない。
And let me tell you, you're far from lazy.
先輩は誰よりも真面目にコツコツと積み上げる
I've never
努
seen
力家です。
I've never seen anyone as dedicated as you.
もしも先輩に気の毒なことがあったとしたら、
And I think the saddest thing here
誰よりも努力家であることを褒めてもらえなかったことだと思います。
is that nobody's ever praised you for how hard you work.
すま
Sizamoon. Oh. I brought my chair over to Minobe and let her rest her head on my shoulder. This was the only way I could convey my feelings. Oh. Come to think of it, I called her by her last name. That was supposed to be my way of showing her due respect, but perhaps it sounded like I viewed her as a stranger. Looking at her over my shoulder drove home just how tiny she was. She was so dainty that I probably would have thought she was younger than me if we hadn't met under different circumstances. After all, I'd already misread her by her laid-back attitude at first, hadn't I?
僕に力になれることがあったら何でも言ってください。
If there's anything I can do to help, don't hesitate to ask.
いつでもどんな時でも必ず力になりますから。
I swear I'll be there for you whenever you need me.
嬉しいな。その 言葉だけでもすっごい救われる。
Thank you. Just hearing that takes a load off my back. She perched her head up against my shoulder. Though she sounded happy, I could hear her sniffle. My heart ached for the burden she was carrying day after day. Where her face was hidden, I couldn't read her mind. My heart ached for the burden she was carrying day after day.
やっぱりスズムンは王子様だね。
You really are a prince, Suzumu.
ここって以前話してくれた不思議の国なんですよね。
This is the Wonderland you told me about, isn't it?
ここでは見延かなえじゃなくてエリスだって言ってましたよね。
Here you're not Kanae Minobe, but Elisu. That's what you told me.
そう、不思議の国のエリス姫なんだ。
That's right, I'm Elisu of Wonderland.
じゃあここでは僕が王子様でもいいんだ。
Then I suppose I can be a prince here.
だってここは不思議の国という向こうとは違うもう一つの現実なんだから。
After all, Wonderland is its own separate reality.
本当にいいの？
Are you really okay with that?
だって姫様と王子様がいたら
Because whenever there's a prince and a princess,
恋に落ちちゃうって決まってるよ。
oh, they always end up falling in love, right?
だってここは不思議の国じゃないですか。
Well, this is Wonderland after all.
不思議の国でお姫様と王子様が出会ったら僕もそれが必然だと思います。
That's just how things go when a prince and princess meet in a place like this.
おいら重たいよ。
Am I not too heavy?
鍛えてますから平気です。
I trained, so I'm fine. That wasn't the right answer.
そうじゃなくておいらいろいろと重たい女だから
Hmm.
めんどくさいよ。
No, I mean, I weigh down on others a lot. Don't you find that annoying?
僕はその真逆で几帳面が過ぎる性格ですので
And I'm the opposite. I'm way too meticulous.
案外2つ混ぜたらバランスがいいかもしれないです。
So maybe we two strike a good balance?
本当だ
That is true.
ね
You know. She raised her head, put her hands on my shoulders, and looked me deep in the eyes.
えスズムンとはもうちょっとだけ
I wish that I'd
早く会えてたらな。
met you just a little sooner. This is just what the other girl told us.
そうしたら一番綺麗な私で会えたのに。
Then you could have met me at my purest.
汚れたってすすけたって何も変わらないです。
It doesn't matter to me whether you're dirty or sullied.
僕だって転んだってすりむいたって僕なんです。
I mean, I've fallen and hurt myself many a time.
そうじゃなくて
That's not what I mean.
大好きなスズムンに
What I'm saying is,
一番綺麗な私を捧げたかったな。
I wish I could have offered my purest self up to you, my beloved Suzumin.
今が一番綺麗です。
But you are your purest right now.
ありがとう。
Thank you. Her nose tickled my own. They kissed. It was really ticklish. We soon parted our lips, and she looked up at me with upturned eyes and flushed cheeks.
一応お姉さんだしリードしなきゃって思って。
I am older than you, so I figured you had to take the lead. She jerked her head away as though concealing her embarrassment. That gesture was absolutely adorable.
ちょっと失望した。はしたない女だと思った。
Are you disappointed? Did I come on too strong? Yeah, I want to go back a little bit. So her nose tickled my own, and then her lips, soft as an angel's feather, kissed my own. So she was the one that took the lead. It was really ticklish. They parted their lips. She looked at him and then was embarrassed. I'm older, so I figured I had to take the lead. Are you disappointed? Did I come on too strong?
思わないです。
No, not at all.
仮にそうだったとしても何も失望したりするものか。
And even if you had, why would I have been disappointed?
ありのままの本当の姿を受け入れるのが王子様の役目だって
I believe it's a prince's
思ってます
job
から。
to accept the princess for who she truly is.
かっこよすぎるぞ王子様。
Now you're just showing off, Your Highness.
本当
Did you mean it?
本当に
Mean what?
本当に私の本当の姿
Did you really mean you'd accept me
受け入れて
for who I
くれる
truly am?
もちろん
Of course. And when I nodded, the tears finally burst free from her eyes. Silver teardrops framed her ear-to-ear grin.
後悔したらぶっ殺すから
I'll kill you if you ever take those words back. Yay, it's a yandere!
後悔なんか
I never will.
する
Oh,
もんか
I guarantee it you will, Suzumu. You took your words back with that other girl, too.
じゃあ絶対だよ
You better mean that. Is she gonna show her boils now?
絶対に受け入れてね
You better accept me, you got it? I can't.
私我慢できない
大丈夫
You okay? I could see sweat gathering on her face. Something wasn't right. It was like she was resisting something. Despite that, she rose slowly from her chair. Was she not feeling well? Yes, so she's gonna turn into that caterpillar monster. Or maybe she'd been feeling sick for a while now. She touched her stomach, no, slightly lower. That slight sensation caused her to groan. I was about to tell her she should sit back down, but then she grabbed her skirt.
絶対に
Don't.
目を離す
Don't look away, okay? Huh? Minobe gave a strained smile. And then she started pulling up the skirt. Exposed knees, followed by pristine thighs. However, she kept rolling it up like a stage curtain.
何を
What are you doing? She grinned again, while still holding up her skirt. Of course, her face was still clammy. She then reached for the silver knife by the pancakes. So she's gonna pull off her face?
我慢
I can't hold back.
どうしちゃったんですか
What's going on? Her eyes were glazed, her cheeks flushed, and her breath sweet. I stood frozen as though she were under some spell. As though I was under some spell. A moment later, she took the knife and caressed her abdomen with it. The contrast between her sweaty skin and the silver knife was beautiful beyond compare. All of a sudden, the white tablecloth was painted a red splash. Minobe had plunged the knife right into her abdomen. Ah!
何を
What are you doing? It should have hurt, yet she only endured it with a strained smile, gesturing for me to stop. She pulled the blade in deeper until I heard a ripping sound. With that, something gushed out, but it wasn't blood. Rather, it was a milky white mucus mixed with blood. Splashed out in dollops, yet she paid it no heed, even as it dripped down and stuck to her legs. Eventually, it stopped pouring out. She gripped the blade and twisted it around inside her. She cut a horizontal line across her body, as though slitting her own stomach all the way open. My heart was screaming at me to stop her, but I was merely stupefied. It would have been so much easier if I were to faint at that very moment. But all I could do was stare transfixed as though paralyzed into snake's gaze. She cleaved across her abdomen as though performing a C-section. Oddly enough, no more of the blood and mucus was spilling out. She opened a vast gaping hole in her stomach. Afterwards, she checked it with her fingers and dropped the knife. It fell to the floor with a clang, but the sound failed to bring her back to her senses, and the horror before me continued. I could never have imagined this. That sound signaled the start of something even more repulsive.
これくらいでいいかな
Is this good enough? She stuck her thumbs into the gaping wound, and then there was a tearing sound followed by wet noises, with a slit. Like she was taking off a pair of pants. She stripped off the lower half.
スズムンに会いたかったな。
I wish I had met you
人間のうちに。
when I was still human. Once she finished removing the skin on her human legs, I was greeted with 2 rows of countless other appendages. They wriggled around on her lower half, covered in repulsive dark red spots like a caterpillar's. Though she was still the same girl in the dress in the top half, her bottom was that of a horrifying caterpillar. What's more, a part of it was sticking like a giant needle. Its tip shook, dripping what looked like blood and mucus. I froze the moment I realized it was pointed right at me. I can't fight it.
もうダメ。
Alright, I'm gonna pause here, but I will go through this scene next time. I can't fight it any longer, I just love you. We'll see how that goes.